stretchy one today. Pilates class A always tends to be a little bit stretchy, and we're also going to cover the 10 things to do every day. So just looking at our overall body movement and hopefully just feeling a bit more supple for everything that we do every day when we've come to the end of class. So let's just start with our feet fairly wide. I don't need to be too picky about how you're standing, and let's just take one shoulder. So rolling the shoulder back, just one side. Think about this section of your shoulder. So it's that shoulder girdle. Imagine that sort of around your shoulder socket there, you've got a sticker on it. And imagine the circle that you're drawing with that sticker. And then let's place the hand on the shoulder and circle the elbow round. And again, you've moved your sticker now to that elbow, and you're trying to create the biggest circle that you can. And as you do that, as I said, I don't need to be too worried about exactly where you're standing. You can even move around a little bit if you want to. But just explore and notice how much movement you're using for the rest of your body. So we're thinking about just the elbow and all circles going backwards. And then I've just come forwards from my wall a little bit, and now I'm circling the whole arm backwards. And now in order to make this more comfortable, I'm opening up the shoulder, the hip and the ankles, and allowing the ankles to rotate a little bit so that it's comfortable for that arm to go all the way back, and I'm not resisting it. And also I want you to notice today how there's a little bit of a rebound in the other direction, and it just feels nice, hopefully. Good, let's do all of that on the other side. So just the shoulder on its own, trying not to let the elbow join in too much, just let that arm hang, and then place the hand on the shoulder. There might be a bit of clunking and clicking going on, all perfectly normal. So I'm also allowing my rib cage to just shift around gently forwards and backwards here. Shoulders are opening up a little bit, not too much. The hips, legs are staying fairly square to the front. And then as I take the whole arm, so especially if you're a little bit tight for space, in order to get that arm really behind you, I'm hiding it behind my body now, you need to open up shoulder, hip and the ankle. And as you bring it forwards and up, you'll go a little bit in the other direction. So we get this nice rotation around the spine, which is what we're after. Great job. Okay, let's do both sides together, going backwards, just thinking about those stickers on your shoulders, and then the hands on the shoulders. Now try and get the elbows to go in the biggest circle you can. And this is I'm getting a bit out of breath actually. This is making my rib cage, I'm allowing my rib cage to just shift forwards and backwards. So you're going right to the very edges of the movement. Remember, your rib cage spine is the tightest part. Let's just loosen it all up again. And then we come to number 1 of your 10 things to do every day, which is a double arm circle going backwards. So notice, now that we're taking both arms back equally, we haven't got that lovely ability to rotate and ease up that shoulder joint. So what you're getting here is a good measure of how tight you are in the shoulder and the rib cage spine. And noticing how we really need to get the chest nicely opened up. Try not to poke your head forwards as you take those arms back. It's very tempting to do that, but just have the elbows soft, arms are relaxed. If this hurts and is uncomfortable in your shoulder or anywhere, just come back to the movement before and try and get that rib cage shifting around a little bit. So that's number 1 in our 10 things to do every day. Number 2, interlacing the hands behind the head. I'm just going to go slight diagonal. You're bringing your elbows forwards and you're thinking about folding, creasing this part here, just the pointy bits of your shoulder blades. And you're going to go up and over, and like there's a bar across there, and you're just sort of resting back on it. And in fact, if you've got a nice high-backed, straight dining room chair, and it just sits there when you're sitting in it, it's a really nice thing to do, is just to push that head back into your hands and your arms and just crease over that upper body. Make sure your breathing is nice and even. So you don't go very far. Probably looks like I'm going quite a way, and actually I've just got used to this movement really. And I quite like it now. It's something, when I first started I thought, oh, my back's not really going to go that far, but it does, and it feels quite good. So we're opening up, lifting the chest up towards the ceiling, keeping those elbows there. So this is a great thing to do. You could be sitting on a dining room chair, like I said, and you could just be pitching back there. You could, when you're sitting in your car and you're just pushing the back of the head into the headrest and just holding that there. We're basically trying to strengthen the muscles around here, back of the neck, deep neck flexors, to hold that head back as opposed to allowing everything to collapse forward, which is what we do all day, every day, just because of modern life. So that's the reasoning behind that one. It's a good one to do. Okay, we're going to take the feet nice and wide, take the toes out slightly, and this is just a bit of a warm up for our deep squats, which is something that we're going to do in a little bit. So you're reaching up, touching the shoulders, touching the knees or hips, I don't mind, and then reaching down towards the floor, and then shoulders, reaching up, shoulders. I'm surprised I had to pause then because I got the right body. I normally say hips, shoulders, yeah, you get the picture. So I'm going to go slightly sideways on. What I want you to try and think about here is keeping the chest up as much as possible. So we could all do this, but what that does is it changes the shape of your back, everything's collapsed, everything's rounded. And if you do that all day, every day, especially if you're doing some gardening or something, or you're just picking something up off the floor, ultimately your back will start to suffer. If we can hinge from the hips, which is what the deep squat is all about, keeping the spine pretty much in its natural curves, keeping the strength in the legs because they're nice and stable. Legs are really, really great for helping you to stay strong. We don't really use them enough. And it also, if you think about it, whenever you do any exercises and you do some strong leg work, I was doing this with my training the other day, it was really horrible, strong leg work, the whole session for the whole hour. And apart from my calves killing me, because it made me run up a hill really fast, my legs didn't feel, I wasn't sore at all the next day. They're so strong, your legs can be so strong. And then they can support that nice deep squat action. So let's think about feet for the moment. So I'm just going to go sideways along the edge of my mat, and we're going to look at walking like you're walking along a tightrope. And this is just designed to just get your feet nice and malleable. And get your balance in the right place. In fact, I'm going to change this slightly. Let's come to stand in the middle of your mat and just come up onto the balls of your feet. So raise your heels up, I'll go slightly sideways, and then just lower one heel and push the toes over on the other one. Lifting up and push over. Yeah. So I'm getting quite a nice stretch on the underneath of my foot. Brilliant. So seen from the front, we're looking for good symmetry between both legs and not allowing that ankle to collapse. Either when you're up at the top, it's quite hard on the balance, so not allowing that to happen, one side or both. And the same thing when you're pushing that the ball of the foot into the floor. Try not to let that ankle collapse. So think of this lovely straight line from the inside of your feet all the way up inside thighs to your pubic bone. That's your guy rope. That's your connection to your centre. We're going to add on to this. So you're rising up, lowering one heel. When you've lowered that heel, then I want you to bend the leg as much as you can, and at the same time push that heel over. And then up, oopsie, quite strong on the balance, lower the heel and bend. Oh, and that's my really tight side of my Achilles. So if you're anything like me, I've got tight Achilles and calves, so this is as much bend as I can do. You might be able to go much lower, but what I'd like you to try and do is keep your heel down on the floor. So you could cheat and lift that heel up. Try not to cheat and pitch forwards, which means we could again go lower. So make it a little bit smoother now. And don't be too too prescriptive with it, if you like. Be quite relaxed, going through. Good. Now add on, once you've bent that standing leg, a little toe pop. So up onto the balls of the feet, put the heel down, bend that knee, pop the other toes. Up, heel down, bend the knee, pop the toes. Up, heel down, bend the knee, pop the toes. So it's sort of like you're doing a slow pony trot. A little bit of, what's the word? Equestrian today. Yeah, up through the toes. Knees are going over the toes. So again from the front, this is what makes it really quite difficult. Everything in good alignment. So no allowing that knee to roll in, no allowing that ankle to collapse and lose your instep. When you point the foot, make sure it's a nice straight foot, no curly feet. That's a curly foot, we don't like those. So we're up to the top, lowering hips, shoulders, nice and square and level. All very telling when you're doing this sort of thing in front of a mirror, and quite hard to control. Which is why, if it's a little bit too fast for you, then just go tiny bit slower. Okay, give those ankles a bit of a circle. So let's take that on into the walking, and I call these the Fred Flintstone walks. You're going to do the same sort of thing, putting one foot, no, let's not do it on a time, but let's just do it hip width apart, but fairly close together with your feet. So you're going to put one foot, the heel in front of the big toe of the other foot, transfer your weight over, lift the heel so you're on one leg, and then you're going heel, transfer the weight over, lift that heel, heel down, transfer over, so I'm over the ball of the foot, then I'm lifting. And this is that sort of circular, this is why I call this the Fred Flintstone walk. Your head stays at the same height. So there's no up and down, as we were just doing an up and down movement. It's not an up and down, it's there. Just reminding myself, we used to live next door to a family when I was really young, and the boy just had this little hop in his step as he walked. Just reminding myself of him. So we don't want the little hop, we just want your head to stay at the same height. And then if you can, get those legs going quite quickly. So strong on the balance, strong for the feet. Good, really pulling those toes up. Great, okay, have a little relax. Brilliant. So one leg stand, number 3 of 10 things to do every day. We do it all the time. We've already done quite a bit of warming up for that, if you like. So let's have our feet completely together. In fact, I'm going to use my wall for a bit of support here. So standing on one leg, nice and upright. I'm just going to put this hand on my hip to keep it out of the way. And just have this, I'm going to have that leg forwards actually, so you can really see what's going on with that leg. I'm going to bend my standing leg as much as possible and straighten it fully. So bending, and as I just said, because I've got quite tight Achilles, this is strong for me, but it's getting better the more I'm doing. I'm just allowing my heel to come off very slightly, but I'm not changing anything in my spine, I'm not pitching forward, I'm not hinging at the hips. I'm just getting a bit of an extra stretch right through my Achilles. So, and then fully straightening that leg. That means pulling the quads up, pulling the fronts of the thighs up, getting that knee not necessarily locked out and definitely not locked back if that's the shape of your legs, but properly straight. Your legs are meant to go completely straight sometimes. And if you don't ever do it, they forget how to do it. The muscles just lose the memory of how to work like that. Good, so staying on that same leg. So I'm on my weaker leg, my rubbish leg. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, propping my hands on my hips with this leg. I'm going to bend and straighten. At the same time, every time I bend, I'm going to tap the toes of the other foot. So I'm tapping next to my foot, then I'm going to tap forwards, tap next to it, tap to the side, tap next to it. Join in with me if you haven't already. Take it to the back and tap centre. Tap side. Let's go again, one more on this leg. So we're tapping and bending the knees. If I go slightly to the side, you can see what's going on with this leg. So bend in the centre, stretch the leg forwards, fully straightening this leg each time, out to the side and centre. Oops, I'm losing my balance a little bit. And to the back. Every time you're tapping the toes, you're bending this leg as much as you can. In between, you're fully straightening that leg. That should be feeling quite strong now. Ooh, give that ankle a bit of a shift. I'm going to stay slightly on the diagonal. Let's do that on the other side. So, tap centre and forwards and centre and out to the side and centre, keeping the back upright apart from here. So when you take that leg to the back, you will naturally just pitch slightly forwards. That's absolutely fine. But as soon as you've brought that leg underneath you again, your centre, out to the side, centre, one more round, forwards, whoo, centre to the side, and centre to the back, and centre, one more out to the side, and centre. Great job. Okay, give those legs a bit of a shake. Really quite strong. If you wanted to, we're going to do one more exercise here. Again, really tough. If this is tough for you, then by all means try and practice it. But maybe go and be facing a wall or the kitchen worktop or something. Just one finger of each hand and do it there, so that you know. And this is what we're going to do next. Actually, we're going to take a rise up. But you know that you're nice and square on, and you're just getting that bit of assistance. So I'm going to stay with one hand, just fingertips lightly touching the wall here with me, to the side of me. I'm going to bend my knee fully. From here, I'm just going to get this leg out of the way actually for the moment. Raise the heel up, then straighten that leg and then lower. So this is my broken down rise and plie. This is strong work. We're going to do 3 in each direction. Bending the knee fully, raise the heel, straighten the leg and lower. Bend the knee, keeping this leg, the spare leg still if you like, raise and lower. Let's reverse the movement. So you could be hanging onto the back of a chair, you could be wall, it really doesn't matter. Try not to distort your body position though. Imagine you're standing facing forwards, and I'm gonna try and freestyle it and go sideways. So we're reversing the movement, and I'm not going to hold on to the wall. Not up for that today. So we're rising up, this is strong. Bend the knee, but with the heel up, push the heel down and then straighten the leg. 2 more in this direction. To the top, bend the knee. So I'm really trying not to be too reliant on the wall. I'm just lightly touching it. Last one. To the top, bend the knee, ooh, push the heel down and straighten. All on the other side. So this is my stronger leg. Just feels a bit more comfortable on this side. Bending, raising that heel, but staying at the same height until you straighten that leg, and then lowering with control. Fingertip touch on your support, whatever that is. Notice the adjustments. There are adjustments all the way through. Raise the heel, come up. That's how the body deals with keeping you on balance. It's changing all the time. It doesn't stay fixed. It's moving all the time. Push that heel down and straighten, rise up. Push the heel down. Last one in this direction. Strong straight leg. Bend the knee, keep the heel up. Push the heel down and straighten. Excellent. So that's our one leg stand. Number 3 of things to do every day. 10 things to do every day. Okay, so we're going to go into some side bends, I think. Yeah, so reaches up, so legs quite wide, toes turned out to the corners, and then reaching up to lift the rib cage off of the hips. Get this lovely length in the spine. And then let's just place the hands, just fingertips to temples, elbows out to the side, and just gently go from side to side. If you wanted to add your breathing to this, breath in as you come through the centre, breath out as you go over. And as you get more comfortable with it and relax a bit more, You should hopefully be able to go a little bit further maybe. Good, let's take the arms out and then cross them over. So I call this flowing arm side bends. Brilliant. And then we're going to add on, we're over to one side, you're going to take a slight bend of your knee, sweep that arm down and then come up the other side and pause. And then go back, bend the knees, roll the head down, change arms, come up the other side and pause. Over to the side, relax down. Really try and look underneath that arm as you come back up. One more of this variety. Good, so that might be enough for you. If you want to, and I encourage you to try and make it a little bit bigger. So I'm just bending the knees more. Brushing fingertips on the floor, there's the first rhyme of the evening. But making sure your knees are going over your toes, you're nice and relaxed. And then the last four, come to the side and just sort of suspend yourself. So I haven't come all the way up. I'm there, getting a wonderful stretch down the side seam. Relax down and suspend. Relax down, suspend. And notice how you have to push this back hip forwards and pull the top shoulder backwards to get that side stretch. Two more if you can. Last one. And we're there. Great. Okay, brilliant. That was mobilizing side bends. Wonderful. Let's take a loose bow and arrow. So we looked at this a little bit earlier on. So from the corner, reaching the arms forwards, I'm going to pull my bow and arrow back with this front arm. Sliding that arm along the inside of the other arm across my chest. I'm going to reach out behind me, look at it behind me, and then come back to square. Just watch on the other side. So I'm pulling the elbow back, looking behind me and coming to there. So if I go dead side on to the camera, the reason this is quite comfortable, and it looks quite comfortable for me, is because I'm doing two things at the beginning. Pulling this shoulder back and also reaching this arm forwards. So that when I can turn my head, I'm completely, my arms are front to back in my body. So if I come this way, I'm there. Hold on, my feet are there. So I'm there, absolutely. So you can't even see the back hand because I've opened up shoulders, hips, and let those ankles rotate, and then you're coming back to square. So reach forwards, shoulders, hips, ankles, look behind you. It should hopefully be relatively comfortable. Let's take some more. So reaching, pull that elbow back and switch. And I call this a loose bow and arrow because I just want you to flow with it a little bit. But hopefully mobilizing the whole spine. Brilliant, and relax, good job. So chest and back lift, followed by a ripple and reverse. I'm going to go back to this corner. So lifting the chest, there's our chest pops that we did earlier when we had the hands at the back of the head. Sticking the bottom out, finding your knees, relaxing your head down, and then rolling up through the spine. So this does what it says on the tin. It's a chest lift first, head finishes the movement last, and then it's a back lift. And again, head finishes the movement last. Let's take 4 more of those. Lift the chest. Take your hands onto your legs if you want to, or take your hands to the floor if that feels right for you. Let those arms hang. You could take the arms all the way up, round, back and down, and then hang, and then roll up. One more, last one. So this is mobilizing the spine. Just getting it all moving. It's an incredible, our bodies are an incredible piece of machinery, and it just all works so well when we keep it all nice and mobile. So the opposite, sort of the opposite to that, is you're going to take a reverse, a ripple. So you're lifting the chest initially, but then you're collapsing down. The difference with this one is that you lead with the head. So you lift your chest, then you take your chin onto your chest, you roll down through the spine. So you're halfway here, and then I'm leading with the head to come up. So you go back, you lead with your chin, and then you lead with the back of the head and neck to come up. 4 more of those. And again, if it feels comfortable to you, place your hands on your legs. Don't have to straighten the legs. It's all about the shape you're creating with your spine. Pin those shoulders back a little bit more. Last one there. Wonderful. Great job. Okay, we are going nice and wide with the feet. And in steps parallel for this one. Let's pop the hands on the shoulders and we're just going to pitch forwards into a hamstring stretch, a wide leg hip hinge, and everything is in the same position as it was, apart from the position of your upper body, because you've hinged at your hips. But what I mean by same position is head, shoulders, arms, all the same position, the shape of your spine, exactly the same position as when you were standing. The only change is this hinge at the hips, and also where you feel it. You're going to feel it in the backs of your legs, in a nice hamstring stretch, hopefully. Keep that chin tucked in. It's very tempting to have the chin too far lifted, so that if you were very aware of when you came up, you'd actually be looking up to the ceiling, whereas you just cheated a little bit really. So try and keep the back of that neck long. So let's pitch forwards one more. Make sure the weight is on the balls of your feet so that you can tap both feet, so you're stretching those hamstrings nicely. Taking the arms out to the side, let's just take some circles. Golf ball size circles at your fingertips. And changing direction, about 10 in each direction. Partly to take your mind off of the hamstring stretch, partly to give you something else to think about, but also to keep really focus on keeping those shoulders nice and parallel. So you're in this wonderful straight line from one hand to the other, as opposed to allowing those shoulders to collapse and round. Lengthening arms out to the side. Brilliant. Keeping along the same sort of thing, you're going to be pitched forwards, and you might be up here, it's absolutely fine as long as you're getting a hamstring stretch. Now just wait to bend your knees, lower your chest, lower your torso, and then straighten the legs, keeping your arms out to the side if you can. So we're hinging more, creasing more at that hip, getting a nice bit of compression going on in that hip joint, the front of the hip joint. Making sure the knees are going over the toes. Toes can be slightly, so legs are slightly turned out in the hip socket. If you're completely parallel, you might find that you get a bit blocked in this. So out to the corners slightly. It's 2 minutes to and 2 minutes past on your feet. So sorry, I've lost my concentration there. So coming down all the way, and now just take your hands to the floor. I'm just going to go slightly to the corner. So you're here, just relax a moment, let that head hang, itsy bitsy spider your fingertips forwards and lengthen the arms forwards. Keep your head down between your arms, your ears are level with your inside of your arms, and just feel that lovely stretch from the crown of your head all the way through to your sacrum. Haven't put any weight into my fingertips, I've just lengthened forwards. Maybe take a little bit of movement, transfer of weight from side to side. Explore it. How does it feel? How does your body feel today? And then if you can, bring your hands in so they're underneath your shoulders. And I just want you to push your weight forwards over your, actually maybe not underneath your shoulders, maybe a bit more forwards, but take your shoulders over your hands and then rock back again. Making sure you spread the fingers and the thumbs far apart. So shoulders over the hands and push back. Shoulders over the hands. So the strengthening shoulders, wrists, hands, and all you're really doing is taking your own body weight. From here, we're going to bring that weight forwards over the hands. You're going to drop one knee in, down to the floor, relax the foot, and then come to sit on the side of your hip. So leg is just tucked underneath me, and then I'm going to reverse that. I'm coming up onto the knee, curling my toes under, taking the knee out to the side. So shoulders forwards over the hands, pivot on the ball of your foot, drop the knee down. So you're still on 4 points here, 5 points actually, because you've got both feet down on one knee. Relax the foot and then just drop onto that hip. One side is probably feeling a little bit more comfortable than the other one. It's absolutely fine. Come back, up, hands down, curl the toes under, lift that knee off and there. A couple more times if you can. So the way I'm describing it might not be the most comfortable for you. Just work it out. See how it feels. I'm adjusting everything as I go. The whole thing about this is totally adjusting, not feeling that you've got to keep your hands stuck where they were. You can move everything. So I'm maybe moving my feet around a little bit. I've changed the position of my hands. It really doesn't matter. So we are building up to a nice deep squat. So now come back into that deep squat and just move around a little bit from side to side. Hopefully the knees are nicely warmed up now. So a deep squat, I'm just going to come back up again. So when we were doing this at the very beginning of class, and now we've warmed up the hip joint, a deep squat ideally is with those heels down, knees over the toes and your butt down as low as you can. Because of my tight Achilles, my heels automatically spring up and it sort of depends what I'm doing. But deep squats, a brilliant thing to try and practice every day. This is probably a bit too big actually. I'm going to get... this might be a bit too much. So, 1.5 inches depth on that book. I'm just going to put my heels on it. I could really do with it being my feet being a little bit wider, but actually no, that's perfect. Yeah. Now that actually feels really comfortable now. So it's just about finding out in your own body, you know, where are your areas where you have to work with. So a few of my clients find this beautifully comfortable and they have absolutely no problem with it at all. A couple of clients like me with the short Achilles and the ankles that are stopping it being overly comfortable. But most of us, over the years, we've worked through it to find where is comfortable. And it's an incredible thing to be able to do every single day. So if you are really struggling with that, a couple of things you can do. Have something underneath your heels if that's the problem. You could also hang on to something like this door frame, and I'm just going to go either side, hold on to one hand on either side, and you're just here, and I'm just dropping back. So now I can comfortably keep my heels down, but I'm bending my knees fully, I'm compressing in the hip joint fully, and my back, most importantly, my back is staying in that upright position. So if I don't put on the door too much, that's really what we're after. We're after the back staying as upright as possible. So deep squats, 10 every single day. One of your 10 things to do every single day. And I promise you it will transform getting down to the floor, getting back up, picking things up, just your overall confidence in your body. So that's number 4 of our 10 things to do every day. Brilliant, okay. Let's take some stretches, a few more stretches. So feet nice and wide, really wide. So I'm almost as wide as my yoga mat, toes are out to the corners. Let's bend both knees and maybe just take a little movement from side to side. If that's uncomfortable for you, you could place your hands down. So my hands are underneath my shoulders. They're just there for a bit of support really. And then see if you can get the whole movement a little bit bigger by keeping your hips at the same height as you transfer from one side to the other. And I'm taking my hands from side to side a bit, but not too much. Keeping my torso pretty much in the middle. Most importantly is this knee goes out over the toes. What's also really important is to fully straighten this leg. Don't leave it sort of half and half, fully straighten it. Pretty much all of this will be stretching somewhere, which is great, in my opinion. Okay, let's stay over to one side. You're going to take this toe, the bent leg foot, completely to the side, and you're going to lift your chest up and then push the other heel out. So we're in this warrior pose from yoga, which again is something I'm working towards with our 10 things to do every day, but just a whole deep lunge thing, and then you can rest this elbow on this thigh and then stretch across there. Brilliant. And then as we would normally do, those of you that are regulars to my classes, bring that hand down and just turn your hips square to face the side of the room now. Brilliant. And then maybe walk your hands forwards and backwards. So here we go with our stretchy stuff. Class A is always a little bit stretchy, especially Monday's class. Drop that back knee down, lift your chest up. Now we're looking at stretching our hip flexors, which is number 5 of 10 things to do every day. Tuck the pelvis under. So if you're here, you probably won't feel much of a stretch at all. Tuck the pelvis under and then drive the hips forwards, and then you should feel a really strong stretch at the front of the hips. Holding that there. So our hip flexors are just rubbish because we spend way too much time sitting. They don't really work as much as they should do. They're generally weak. So this is why this is one of 10 things to do every single day. Great, let's twiddle round to the other side. So I would come back to the middle and just find your positioning here again. Just get yourself comfortable. So adjusting things. And then we're going to keep the other leg bent, turn the toes out and the knee out, lift the chest, push the back heel out. So the idea is that my hips and shoulders are facing forwards, this leg is turned out, this leg is sort of parallel, and then it's quite comfortable to rest here with this elbow on the top of that thigh and stretch that arm up. And breathe. Good, sinking down into that hip, and then just reach that top arm over, and the only change here now is to bring that back leg into parallel, so both feet are facing the side of the room as we normally do, and then you are moving backwards and forwards and noticing all the dog hairs on your and carpet fluff on your black leggings. So the back knee could be down, try and keep it off the floor if you can. Move through it, breathe, and then drop that back knee down. Lift the chest, just come out of it into a neutral position first of all. Hopefully this should be relatively comfortable. If you need to put a knee underneath your cushion, now would be a good time. If you need to put a cushion underneath your knee, now would be good. Otherwise, tuck that pelvis under. So I'm already feeling a strong stretch here. It's not a very big movement, but then take those hips forwards. Lift the chest. Now it's a really strong stretch here. And breathe. Excellent. And coming back. Fantastic. Okay, we're coming down to the floor. We're going to be, I know we're already on the floor, but I'm going to move the monitors a little bit. You might need to move your screen that you're watching on. We're going to be on all fours on the floor when we come back. Okay, so find your perfect square box position. Fingers and thumbs spread apart, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. You've got the natural curve in your spine. This is number 6 of 10 things to do every day. We're just over halfway through. Just bracing in this position, strengthening this position. It's a really important thing to be able to do. Curling your toes under, lifting those knees off half an inch and hover them and hold it and go. And feeling that you're drawing your belly button in towards your spine. You've switched on your pelvic floor. You've connected your rib cage down to your hips. You're lifting the back of the head and neck up towards the ceiling as if it's a naked flame underneath your nose. There's a Bunsen burner underneath your face. If you let your head drop forwards, which we quite often do, you're going to get your nose burnt. So lift that head up, slide the shoulders back towards your hips. You might start to feel a little bit of earthquake shaking. That's absolutely fine. It's just showing you there's a slight lack of stamina in the muscles. So if that's happening for you, then this is definitely one to practice. Holding it there, bracing, bracing, bracing. Okay, and relax those knees down. Brilliant. We're going to take a little combination. There are three sets of this combination. We're going to come back every single time to just lifting the knees off in this all fours box position. So if it looks like it's a little bit too much for you, then just practice holding those knees off. So from here, we're going to lift the knees off. Just watch me one side and then join in. We're going to straighten one leg, straighten the other leg. I'm taking the feet wide out into the width of my yoga mat. Hands are staying in the same place. Body's nice and straight. We're in the plank. Bringing the first leg back in, bringing the second leg back in, lowering the knees. We're going to repeat, leading with the other leg. Here we go. So joining in with me if you can. Spread those fingers and thumbs apart. So knees are off, just slightly. Straighten the leg, straighten the other leg. Bring the first leg back in, second leg back in, and lower. Don't relax too much, we've got quite a bit more work to do. Lift the knees off, straighten the other leg, second leg, first knee, second knee, lower those knees. Adding on, we're going to move the hands once we've done the legs. Lift the knees off. Straighten one leg, straighten the second leg. Bring one hand in underneath your face, other hand in. Thumbs are touching. First hand out, second hand out. First knee back in, second knee back in. Lower the knees and we're swapping sides. Here we go. Knees off. Straighten one leg, straighten the other leg. Hand in, hand in, hand out, knee in, lower the knees. Last combination, elbow, elbow, hand, hand, with the legs wide. Here we go. Knees are off. Straighten one leg, straighten the other leg. Take the elbow down, other elbow down, hand down, second hand down. First knee back in, second knee back in, lower those knees. Last set, here we go, last bit. Well done if you're with me. Lift those knees, straighten one leg, straighten the other leg. Elbow down, hand, hand, knee, knee, lower those knees, and have a little collapse. Take the hips back on the heels, twiddle the fingertips and wrists. So just a little combination there, but basically all evolving around number 6, which is your bracing of the torso, switching on your core and challenging yourself by moving the arms and legs around. Okay, we are going to go into some seated C-curve balance. So this little next section, the next abdominal section is Pilates based as opposed to 10 things to do every day. So from sitting up really nice and tall, right up on your sit bones if you can, hands underneath the backs of the knees, your spine in its natural curves. From here you're going to scoop that tummy under, really scoop. Everything is drawn in. I'm making a capital C curve from the top of my head all the way through to my sacrum. I get to this point where I'm quite comfortable. I can sort of, there's no weight through my feet and my spine is really rounded. I'm going to stay in that rounded position, shoulders are over the hips, and then sit tall and going again. Scoop that tummy. This always makes me really, really hungry. But the good news is that today, class being at 5 o'clock, we can have dinner a little bit earlier. So we're scooping under. We're going to come to that rounded, balanced position. I'm right on my sacrum. Hopefully it's nice and comfortable for you. Bring your feet and knees together. Because we're rounded and because we're tucked under, we haven't got to worry about hamstring length here. So pointing your toes, keep your knees squeezing together, just straighten one leg and then lower it. And then the other leg. Feet pointed if you can. So this really doesn't require any effort. Your pelvis is tucked under. It requires effort here and balance. You're working that core. About 6 singles alternating, and then try a double. No difference. Tap those toes down. Stay scooped, stay rounded, shoulders are down, neck is long. Toes just lightly brush the floor. Keep those legs up there if you can, straight. Take the hands away. Palms are up, look at that. Well done if you're there. Really good. Brilliant. Last one, bend those knees in. Bring your hands back behind your knees, and let's just take some switches. Staying balanced. Strong work in the abdominals. Fantastic. And have a little round forwards and a sit up. Ooh, a tiny collapse there. Well done. Great. Okay, on our backs for double leg extension into reverse curls and scissors. Have a little look for me. Just wait for the car to finish parking. Okay, so we're rounding the back. So we're sort of creating the same shape that we just did on our backs. So by lifting the legs up, keeping the legs together, there's my double leg extension, extending away. I'm actually going to stay imprinted in my lower back. So legs not completely up to the ceiling, away more towards where the ceiling and the wall meet. Then I'm going to bend the knees in, push down on my hands and extend the legs to go over. Bend the knees, extend the legs to go away, bend the knees and over. I'm not trying to straighten the legs there, maybe it looked like I was. But if you think about it, this shape here is similar to what we've just done. We're trying to create that C curve. We're just coming at it from a different angle, if you like. So extending the legs, bend the knees and swing a little bit. But I'm actually really pushing down through my hands. Trying to lift your hips and that lower back off of the floor. If that's like ridiculously impossible for you and you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's no way I can do that, try this, just crossing your ankles over. Again, use your arms in the floor. Just think of lifting those feet up towards the ceiling. So this is a reverse abdominal curl. Maybe swap the ankles over after a few. It is strong. There's no denying that one. Okay, then we're into our scissors. So beautiful straight legs. Lift the head and shoulders up. Fix this top leg at 90 degrees. I'm hanging on to this leg to help me stay up. Again, the spine is in a rounded position, a C curve. And then I'm going to switch the legs. 3, 2, 1. Holding them here, flex the feet, and then once I've held that position, once I've flexed those feet, I'm going to draw that top leg in for an extra hamstring stretch. Coming back to 90 degrees. Here we go, 4 sets of these. If you just joined in with me, you're going to end up doing 5. So we've got 3, 2, 1, flex both feet, and then draw in. Whew, that's my tighter side on the hamstrings. Stop that leg at 90 degrees, point those feet and switch. 3, 2, 1. Flex both feet and drawing in, pointing the feet. And 3, 2, 1. Flex and draw in. Let me see the difference. Notice the difference between this position where you stopped your scissors and this position for the stretch. 2 more sets. 2, 1. I've completely lost count. I've also got cramp in my underneath foot. And last one, I think. 3, 2, 1. Flex and drawing in and enough. Arms out to the side. And let that head roll from side to side. Brilliant. Okay. So, running up time rapidly. We did number 6, which was our all fours bridges. So, number 7 is the shoulder bridge. So, strengthening the back line of the body. So, from your base position, feet and knees hip width apart. Settle your spine in its natural curves. Make sure you've got a neutral spine. Switch those buttocks on and lift your hips up into a beautiful straight line. Knees, hips to the shoulders, all the way up, and then come straight back down. Let's do 5 of these if you can. So feel like you're really opening out the front of your hips. Feel like you're switching those buttocks on. Knees are going over the toes. Rib cage not flaring. So this would be me flaring. Letting those ribs at the front stick up. Connect them. Relax across the top. 2 more. Pushing down through the feet. Make sure your feet are equally weighted. This time we're going to stay up. Let's stay here and push down through your feet. Switch on and switch off at your gluteal fold, the crease of your bottom. About 10 times. There will be a very slight pulse on the hips going up and down. So we're trying to strengthen the buttocks, strengthen the hamstrings, just the general back line of the body. You could make this all a little bit harder if you wanted to by having the arms up to the ceiling, palms facing each other. Now lift your heels up for the next position. Bring your heels together, keep your toes where they were, so you're basically in a turned out position, like a ballet first position. Heels together. Knees will go out over the toes, so therefore you can lift your hips higher. Now, every time you switch on your buttocks, your gluteal fold, squeeze the heels together for another 10 or so. Hopefully feeling hamstrings, buttocks, all engaging, getting involved. Rib cage soft, relaxed, back of head and neck, relaxed. Another set here. Lift your heels up, so you're right up on the balls of your feet. So you can't squeeze the heels together anymore, but take another switch on, switch off. So every time there's a slight adjustment in the position of the legs or the feet, you're just recruiting slightly different muscles, but it's great to get that all-round variety, that ability to sort of cope with any situation. When you've done that one, put those heels down, but take your heels out again, so we're back to a parallel position. This is the last one here. You're going to lift the whole of the front of your feet up, so you're just pushing your heels down. And I'm just going to reach my arms backwards at the same time with this. So I'm taking my palms up. I'm not trying to touch the floor. I'm just trying to lengthen away. So sending my fingertips and my knees away in the opposite direction. Last few pulses. Hopefully feeling some really good work going on there now. And breathing. Head is relaxed. And relax and roll down through the spine, or however you would like to come out of it. And just do what you naturally, instinctively want to do. I like to hug my knees in here and just roll, circle the knees around, roll around in my lower back. Change in direction. Brilliant. You might just want to just hug the knees a little more. Some people like to really stretch out in opposite directions. It's all perfectly good. Great. Okay. So that was number 7. We've got 8, 9 and 10 to fit in the next 5 minutes. Not a problem. So number 8 is side lying in a beautiful straight line. And we're going to lift the top leg up to the height of the top hip. And let's flex that foot. And have the shoulders stacked and the hips stacked. And then we're going to lift the underneath leg up to join the top leg with a pointed foot to start with. Flex the foot and then lower that underneath leg. Pointing, lifting up, flexing and lowering. So the point of number 8 is basically to work the muscles of the inside thigh and to switch on all those muscles, all those sort of crisscross muscles, if you like, that we don't really strengthen enough in everyday life. So we're working one half of the pelvic floor. Let's take 2 more. So the underneath leg is the one that we're working on, the half of the pelvic floor. That's the leg that's doing all the work. Let's lift and lower both legs now. So lowering, pointing the feet, lifting them up, flexing the feet, and lowering, point the feet to lift, flex, to lower. If you're feeling strong today and balanced, so I'm okay on this side, probably be rubbish on the other side, pointing those feet, lifting up, flexing to lower, trying to keep the hips stacked, flexing to lower. Last one, here we go. Pointing to lift, flexing, just holding that there, trying to lengthen. In fact, let's take the arm over. Lengthen that top arm in line with your body. So no touching the floor or your head, just lengthen away. Sending feet, the underneath of your feet and your fingertips in the opposite direction. Keep your waist lifted. One more of those. And good job. Rolling onto your back, sit yourself up, twiddle round to the other side. So wonderful straight line, hips stacked, shoulders stacked, both legs up, flexing both feet. So the underneath leg is lowering, flexed actually, you're pointing to lift it up to join, flexing to lower. Taking the other hand, the spare hand up to the ceiling. I'm not so good on this side today. Always one side, slightly more of a struggle on the balance. So if this is really uncomfortable on your hip, sometimes just the shape of your hip, just get some extra padding underneath that, the side that's uncomfortable. Two more. Try and keep the top leg up, try and keep the top leg still. And then let's flex both feet, lower them together, pointing to lift up. Flexing, trying to keep your insteps together, so no curly feet, flexing to lower. This top shoulder nice and relaxed. Oh, going the wrong way. Pointing to lift, flexing to lower, pointing to lift, flex to lower. And let's hold those legs up, feet flex, underneath of your feet nice and flat as if you're standing on the floor. 4 times, reach that arm over, keep the shoulder down, keep the neck long. I'm actually trying to lift, I'm just trying to hover my ear off of that underneath arm. So I'm not collapsing, I'm trying to lengthen out through the crown of my head. Now I'm going to collapse. Wonderful, let's come on to your tummies. Tummies and elbows. For the Sphinx. So number 8 was our inside thigh lifts, getting that connection, that strength in the inside thighs, the connection to the whole pubic pelvic area. And then this is the Sphinx, which is very similar. So just lifting and lowering that chest wall, very similar to our chest pops when we're standing. We're almost trying to, so not at the moment, this is just a mobilising thing. I want you to think about the chest, the rib cage, lowering to the floor and then lifting up off the floor. And keep your head sort of on top of your ribs, if you like. So what I mean by that is don't have the head down here. And try not to collapse forwards and then come upright. Forwards and upright. You're going up and down. Yes. So holding that there. And then this is the Sphinx. So legs are apart, push that pubic bone into the mat a little bit. Keep a connection around your lower abdomen so that you're protecting your lower back. Just stay switched on in your pelvic floor. And then your goal here is to try and take the chest pop like we did when we were standing. You're trying to fold over, crease over in that upper back. And just either hold it, hold it for 20 to 30. Be nice and relaxed. Think of lifting out through the top of the head, the crown of the head. Keep the shoulders drawn down, away from the ears. I also feel like I'm just sort of trying to pull my elbows along the mat a little bit. I've created a bit of friction and tension there to help me. And breathe. Great, and then have a little relax. Come up onto all fours. So whenever I've done that sort of movement with my upper back, I want to sort of go in the opposite direction. So I'm just going to come up onto all fours, take some spine circles. So I'm taking the rib cage out to the side, up to the ceiling, out to the side, and then letting it sort of swing past the floor, if you like. Both directions. Keep the arms fairly straight if you can. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Let's maybe take some sit bone circles. So tuck under with the pelvis. Stay tucked under, come all the way forwards. Take a little bend of the arms as you turn that pelvis back to neutral. Tuck under. Come forwards and then swoop back with the pelvis. Tuck under to come forwards. Go back and then we can reverse it. Forwards and then tuck under. Going back. Taking the hips back towards the heels. This feels really nice. There's a really nice stretch out in the lower back. Release to come forwards. You can make this really quite big if you want to, if you're feeling quite strong, or you can just keep it quite subtle, almost keeping the arms straight and just focusing on the pelvic movement. Brilliant. So number 10 of 10 things to do is seated rotation. If you can, I would like you to try and have a little bit of a roll around on the floor just to get into the position. So it's going to look like this. We're going to go from all fours. So we're sort of using the movement that we did in the beginning. Just have a little look when we were doing the squats, or when we were doing number 4, to roll onto the side of the hip. Just watch me before you try and do it, because you're going to be turning away from me. You're going to roll to face away. You're going to come to the side and just bring the back leg across. So you're seated up quite upright. And then you roll back onto all fours, onto the hip, and roll to face sideways. If you look at my yoga mat, it's a good measure of where you want to be, and then you come back onto your all fours. I'm going to face this way, and we're going to do the same side, going in the same direction. So from all fours, you're going to drop down onto your left hip. You're going to face away from me, face away from the screen. Put your right knee down, and then bring your left foot across, and you should be able to see me by looking at the screen, but you're sideways on. Good. And then put your hands behind you, reverse what you just did. So look away from me, and then come back onto all fours, facing the screen. And we're going to go to the other side. Drop the right hip down, look away from me, just keep rolling in that same direction. You finish sideways on. You should be able to see me by looking over your left shoulder. But I've got my right leg now in front. Good, just cross that, brought that round from the back, and then roll back onto your hands, back onto your knees. Good, one more each direction, and then we're going to add our lovely stretching. So onto that left hip, move your hands, move whatever you need to get in the correct position. So we're sideways on. Stay where you are. In fact, I'm going to go this way a little bit more. So maybe twiddle yourself to face me a bit more. So I've got my right foot tucked in. I'm sitting up nice and tall. I'm going to take my right hand onto my left knee, place my left hand behind my back, and at this point you're going to turn away from me to look over your left shoulder, pulling that right knee in and across And if this was a Zoom class, I'd be able to see what you were all up to now, but unfortunately it isn't, so I can't. And release. Go back, put your hands behind you, face away from the screen, come up onto your knees again, hands and knees in the middle of your mat, in the middle of your space. Come down onto your right hip, roll away from the screen, come round. I'm going to just go to the corner a little bit more so that you can see me. So I've got my left foot tucked under, my right leg is across. I'm sitting up really nice and tall. Left hand is going to take hold of the outside of my right knee. My right hand goes behind me to help me sit really upright. From here, I'm going to turn and look away from the screen, look over your right shoulder and breathe. And enjoy. So seated spinal rotation. Excellent. Come back to face forwards. Just from there, come round onto your knees. Or you'll be facing the other way, but just wherever you can, come back onto your knees. Well done everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed. Please feel free to give me some comments, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Take care.